Hi, my name is Raymark and I am from Group 3. Today, we will be discussing to you the topic on acquiring and preparing human resources. But before anything else, let me introduce to you my group mates. We have Miss Eireen M. Bendijo,
Hi!
Miss Sarah May T. Bestudio,
Hello everyone!
Miss Charis Ann C. Bongo,
Hello everyone, stay safe.
Miss Lyzel E. Borga,
Hi, I am Lyzel E. Borga of DepEd Hingog City Division.
Miss Angelica S. Buton,
Hello, everyone.
Miss Patricia April M. Butron,
Hi!
and lastly, we have Miss Lalleth P. Cabaneros.
Hello everyone!
Our main objective is to give you better understanding on the following topics related to planning and recruiting human resources, the process of selecting employees, and lastly, the training of employees. So lean back and get comfortable as we begin our presentation. Let's get started.
For any organization to identify the numbers and types of workers needed to meet business objectives, there is a need for human resource planning. This is an essential part of any organization that compares the present state with its goals for the future. Human resource planning identifies what changes it must make in its human resources to meet those goals. To do this, organizations need a clear idea of the strengths and weaknesses of existing internal labor force, the size they want the organization to be, and the products and services it wants to offer. This knowledge helps them define the number and kinds of employees they will need. There are 3 stages of human resource planning. First is forecasting, second is goal setting and strategic planning, and third is program implementation and evaluation. The first step is forecasting. It is the attempt to determine demand and supply of labor. Forecasting attempts to determine the demand and supply of various types of human resources, which predicts labor shortages and labor surpluses. In forecasting the demand for labor, an organization might use trend analysis. Trend analysis involves constructing and applying statistical models that predict labor demand for the next year based on the statistics of the previous year. Trend analysis is simply the collection of information in the attempt to spot a pattern. Now, once a company has forecast a demand for labor, it needs an indication of the firm's labor supply. Here is where transitional matrix comes in. Transitional matrix is used to model the internal flow of human resources. It answers questions like, where did people who were in each job category go? And where did people now in each job category come from? Transitional matrix is a detailed analysis of how many people are currently in various job categories and reflect changes expected in the future as a result of retirements, promotions, transfers, and terminations. This is extremely helpful to forecast trends in the organization's supply of labor and can be used to plan for the future. For example, if the chart shows that there is going to have a surplus of labor in the production for the next 3 years, then it is best to avoid layoffs. The second step in human resource planning is goal setting and strategic planning. Goal setting should focus attention on the problem and should come directly from the analysis of labor demand and supply. And for each goal, the organization must choose one or more human resource strategies. Based on an organization's labor surpluses or shortages, they may engage in either downsizing or outsourcing. Downsizing, it is the reduction of a company's labor force through an elimination of large numbers of employees. They do this by meeting 4 objectives. First is reducing cost. Second is replacing labor with technology, such as closing outdated factories or automating the usual manual processes. Third is mergers and acquisitions, or when organizations combine. And fourth is moving to more economical location. On the other hand, outsourcing is the process of using third-party service providers. This is the business practice of hiring a party or contracting outside a company to perform services or create goods that were traditionally performed in-house by the company's own employees. Organizations use outsourcing to operate more efficiently and save money. They choose outsourcing firms that promise to deliver the same or better quality at a lower cost. The third and last step is program implementation and evaluation, which involves implementing strategies and evaluating results. When implementing the HR strategy, the organization must hold some individual accountable for achieving the goals. That person also must have the authority and resources needed to accomplish those goals. It is also important that this person issues regular progress reports so that the organization can be sure that all activities finish on schedule and that the early results are as expected. In evaluating the results, the company determines whether strategies have been implemented as intended and checking whether the organization has succeeded in avoiding labor shortages or surpluses. Along with measuring these numbers, the evaluation should identify which parts of the planning process contributed to success or failure.
To continue with our discussion, our next topic is about recruitment. At the end of this discussion or topic, you may be able to answer the following. Describe recruitment policies used to make job vacancies more attractive. Number 2, list and compare sources of job applicants. Number 3, describe recruiters' role in the recruitment process. What is recruitment? When you try to search on Google the meaning of recruitment, there's a lot of definition you can read from, and for me, this definition fits on our topic about recruitment. Recruitment is any activity carried on by the organization with primary purpose of identifying and attracting potential employees. It is also refers to the process of identifying, attracting, interviewing, selecting, hiring, and onboarding employees. In other words, it involves everything from the identification of a staffing need to filling it. Regardless, recruitment typically works in conjunction with or as part of human resources. We have areas to focus. First, personal policies. Second, recruitment sources. Third, characteristics of the recruiters. For personal policies, these are the rules that govern how to deal with human resources or personal related situation. They are the guidelines to decision making that help keep the system as fair and unbiased as possible. Personal policies are important to help implement consistent approach to management. Everyone from the lowest entry-level employees to top-level management should fully understand any personal policies you put in place. Here are some strategies to attract future employees to fill the vacancies. 1. Develop a clear employer brand. Your employer brand is what you see apart from other companies and show candidates why they should work for you. It should reflect your business mission, culture, and values. Number 2, create job posts that reflect your company. Your job post is the first impression that candidate will have of you. Number 3, use social media. Social recruiting is becoming increasingly popular as companies begin targeting millennials. Number 4, invest in an applicant tracking system. Save your company time and money by investing in an applicant tracking system. 5, explore niche job boards. Depending on what job you are hiring for, it may be difficult to find talent on one of the mainly large job sites. Number 6, consider college recruiting. Recruiting from college campuses can help you discover upcoming talent of your industry, while also aligning your company with internship opportunities and campus connections. You can recruit from colleges in many ways, including attending career fairs, volunteering to speak at events for your industry, being featured on campus online job boards. Number 7, find passive candidates and let them know you want them. Passive candidates are those who are currently employed and not actively looking for a job. These candidates will often be the most qualified and seem to be the perfect person for the job. Number 8, conduct awesome interviews. It's important to remember that interviewing is a two-way street. While you are interviewing your candidate, they are also interviewing you. Our second area to focus is recruitment sources. Under recruitment sources, we will be able to know 4 areas. First is the recruitment from within or outside the company. Second is the space strategies. Third, employment at will versus due process policies. And lastly is about image advertising. When we talk about recruitment, it is hiring, a process of searching and attracting the right candidates for hiring them for vacant jobs in the organization. Now, there are 2 sources of recruitment. Recruitment from within or internal, or outside or external of the company. When we talk about internal recruiting, it is the process of filling vacancies within a business from its existing force. Now, there are 4 types of internal recruiting. 1 is promotions. The most widely used form of internal recruiting is the one everybody hopes for, a promotion. Second, transfers. A transfer typically entails moving to the same job at a different location or a similar level job in a different department. Third, temporary to permanent. Similar to promotion, this involves making a temporary position holder or in turn a full-fledged employee. Number 4, employee referrals. A hiring manager's dream and an often overlooked type of internal recruiting. Employee referrals are a great cost-effective way to get qualified candidates in front of hiring managers. Having a system in place to encourage and gamify the employee referral process will help to ensure you see a constant stream of employee-referred candidates. Another one, sources of employment or recruitment rather, is the external recruitment, which refers to an organization seeking to fill an open position with someone who does not work at the company. Recruiters or hiring managers use external sources to find available candidates, such as job search sites. These may be free or paid services that allow you to post your open jobs and review candidates' resumes in one location. Second is the social media. You can advertise an open position on your company's social media account. Another one is the industry organization. Consider posting job openings on industry website and in professional publications. Another one is the networking events. You can post to advertise your job opening at industry networking events by giving a short presentation or handing out flyers. Company websites. Add a career section to your website with current available positions. Next, we have referrals from employees or friends. Ask employees to reach out to qualified friends and family members. Job fairs. Attend job fairs at colleges and community centers to search for job candidates. College career centers. Develop relationship with your area's universities and alert them when you have open positions. Advertisement through newspapers or billboards. Consider advertising in local newspapers or through targeted online campaigns. External recruitment is the opposite of internal recruitment, which means filling available position with people who are already work at your company. There are also advantages and disadvantages of internal and external recruitment. For internal recruitment, its advantages are reduced time to hire, shortens the induction process, cost-effective, improve employee morale, while the disadvantage of internal recruitment may stagnate the company's culture, increased training costs, limited choices, may lead to workplace hostility. For external recruitment, the advantages are increased conversation rates, better quality candidates, attracts new skills and inputs, brings new business insights and ideas to the table, while its disadvantages are higher risk, greater cost, time-consuming, lastly, the possibility of maladjustment. Whether you are recruiting internally or externally, automating your recruitment process will ensure that you bring only the best candidates on board much faster. Other sources of recruitment is the pay strategies. Compensation is a tool used by management to create happier workplaces. Compensation policies can be custom according to the business requirements, goals, and existing resources. Compensation strategies can be used to hire and retain top performer employees, increase the satisfaction level of employees, reward and recognition programs to inspire peak performance, achieve internal as well as external equity, lessen turnover, and boost company loyalty, adapt practice of transparent payment policies. The following can be used to help determine whether you currently stand and how to take your compensation strategy to the next level. 1. Keep a competitive edge for recruitment. Candidates always look to put themselves in the best promising position financially. Legal compliance. State and government employment laws govern many facets of the workers' pay and hours, comprising what the minimum rate is and how many hours they may work on weekly basis before they're allowed for overtime. Employee loyalty. When workforces are being paid well and feel contented, they're likely to stay with establishment. Increased productivity. Contented employees are the most productive employees. Efficiency in relation compensation starts with employees feeling appreciated. Points to consider while planning compensation strategy. When forming an establishment's complete compensation strategy, comprising compensation design, guidelines, and action, it is important that the HR specialist understand and comprise what is more vital to the business and its goals. Developing a compensation plan isn't a simple task, but on the other hand, it is very vital task of HR personnel. Irrespective of how you plan your employer compensation strategy, whether it be by time span, designation, individual positions, or some other way, make sure you have one for your organization growth. Another recruitment sources is the employment at will versus due process policies. Job applicants and new employees are often perplexed to read in a job application, employment contract, or employee handbook that they will be employed at will. They are even more troubled when they find out exactly what this language means. An at-will employee can be fired at any time for any reason except for a few illegal reasons. If the employer decides to let you go, that's the end of your job, and you have very limited legal rights to fight your termination. Even if you are an at-will employee, you still cannot be fired for reasons that are illegal under the state and federal law. In these situations, the government has decided to make an exception to the general rule of at-will employment. Within a business organization, the concept of due process means that before disciplining an employee for violating some rule or policy, a business must follow a specific course of action established by the company. Sometimes, these policies are to a great extent dictated by law. Image advertising is another sources of recruitment. What is an image advertising? An image ad consists of an image that you provide featuring information about your business, services, or products. When people click anywhere on your ad, they'll be taken to your website. Image advertising is important since advertising also relies heavily on pictures. Pictures convey a story, carry an image of the product of the brand, and captures attention. And lastly, the area to focus are the characteristics of the recruiter. Recruiters are responsible for meet hiring goals for filling open positions with talented and qualified candidates. This entails sourcing and screening candidates, coordinating the interview process, and facilitating offers and employment negotiations, all while ensuring candidates have a pleasant experience. Listed below are the characteristics of the recruiter most frequently cited by the respondents. They have great listening skills. The highest performing and most effective recruiters harness the power of careful listening, which far better ensures they, number one, fully understand the details of the exact job description. Number two, are acutely aware of their client's preferences and expectation. And number three, accurately assess the match between the job position and potential candidates. Number two, they are the right questions before beginning the job search. The best recruiters do not settle on standard and basic job description. Instead, they dive right into the detailed and exact job description before beginning to recruit candidates. Number three, they have great perseverance. The most awesome recruiters are incredibly persistent and do what it takes to fill the job with the right candidate. Number four, they are highly organized. Job searches are rich with many moving parts and dynamics. The best recruiters employ exhaustive organization practice to stay ahead of the curve and focus on the right corresponding priorities. Number five, they are awesome networkers and extremely good at relationship building. Outstanding recruiters easily build rapport and relationship that last a very long time. Number six, they are eager to get on the phone with potential candidates, but more importantly, they like meeting in person. While emailing and texting is now the norm, superior recruiters take the time to speak with candidates directly to better and more accurately assess whether there is the right fit. Number seven, they are not afraid to pull out of an agreement if it does not feel right. This attribute is a great one since it is not uncommon for some recruiters to panic and feel pressed to make the deal just to get it over with. Great recruiters give much scrutiny or to pairing candidates with open positions, thereby avoiding recruiting for the same position again a few months down the road. What is the role of the recruiter? Broadly speaking, you can break that into three parts. One, they are the candidate sourcing. Two, job and offer management. Three, post-placement. For candidate sourcing, the role of the recruiter in effective candidate sourcing is to find an ideal candidate for a position while minimizing the number of people a hiring manager needs to meet. The other inputs include position knowledge, understanding of what the person who you are recruiting will actually do. Number two, industry knowledge, which business have teams doing similar work, and of those teams, which culture is the closest fit for the business you are currently recruiting for. Social, this might seem strange, but trying to look at the ability to understand the position and where it fits into overall business, industry, and market knowledge, ability to visualize the stakeholders they will need to influence, and the type of person that will be able to influence them. Number two, job and offer management is the role of the recruiter. A recruiter's role here should be assist a business in taking the necessary step to ensure they make the best possible hiring decision for both the business and the candidate. Number three is post-placement. The recruiter's role in this part of the process is to speak with both the candidate and the client regularly to identify any teething issues. If issues exist, communicate them to the relevant party and work out the appropriate course of action. In closing, recruitment has its niches, and regardless of what level position you are recruiting, there will be several excellent recruiters who specializes in that niche. Taking the time to evaluate each recruiter you decide to work with on the above will make the huge difference. 2. Your ability to attract the best people to your business helps ensure the maximum return on your investment of time, minimizes the risk you will hire the wrong person. That will be all. Thank you. I'm Lalleth P. Cabaneros of Group 3.
Selecting employees and placing them on jobs. Personal selection is the process through which organizations make decisions about who will or will not be allowed to join the organization. The process of selecting employees for most organizations comes with the following steps. First, selection typically begins with a review and screening of candidates' employment applications and resumes. Second, the organization then administers tests to candidates who meet the basic requirements. Third, the qualified candidates undergo one or more interviews. Fourth, organizations may check references and conduct background checks to verify the accuracy of information provided by the candidates. Finally, a candidate is selected to fill each vacant position. Ways to measure the success of a selection method. One criterion is reliability, which is the extent to which a measurement is free from random error so that the measurements are consistent. Validity is the extent to which performance on a measure, such as a test score, is related to what the measure is designed to assess, such as a job performance. Criterion-related validity is a measure of validity based on showing a substantial correlation between test scores and job performance scores. Content validity is the consistency between the test items or problems and the kinds of situation that may occur on the job. Construct validity establishes that a test actually measures a specified construct such as intelligence or leadership ability, which is presumed to be associated with the success on the job. A selection method should also be generalizable, so that it applies to more than one specific situation. Lastly, the selection method should have utility, which is the extent to which something provides economic value greater than its cost. Legal standards for employee selection. The selection process must be conducted in a way that avoids discrimination and provides access to persons with disabilities. This means selection methods must be valid for job performance, and scores may not be adjusted to discriminate against or give preference to any group. Questions may not gather information about a person's membership in a protected class, such as race, sex, or religion, nor may the employer investigate a person's disability status. Employers must respect candidates' privacy rights and ensure that they keep personal information confidential. They must obtain consent before conducting background checks and notify candidates about adverse decisions made as a result of background checks. Common methods used for selecting human resources. Application forms. Employment application form is a low-cost way to gather basic data from many applicants. It also ensures that the organization has certain standard categories of information, such as mailing address and employment history, technical skills, or membership in professional or trade groups. Resumes. Resumes contain information such as educational background, related work performed, and types of equipment the person has used. Resumes may enable applicants to highlight accomplishments that may not show up in the format of application forms. References. Applicants provide the names and phone numbers of former employers or others who can vouch for their abilities and past job performance. It is then up to the organization to have someone contact the references to gather information or verify the accuracy of the information provided by the applicant. Background checks. A background check is a way to verify that applicants are as they represent themselves to be. Unfortunately, not all candidates are open and honest. Major types of employment tests. Aptitude tests. Tests that assess how well a person can learn or acquire skills and abilities. Achievement tests. Tests that measures a person's existing knowledge and skills. Physical ability tests. For jobs that require certain physical abilities or psychomotor abilities, the organization may use physical ability tests. Cognitive ability tests. Tests designed to measure mental abilities such as verbal skills, quantitative skills, and reasoning ability. Personality tests. Measures personality traits such as extroversion and adjustment. Research supports their validity for appropriate job situations, especially for individuals who score high on conscientiousness, extroversion, and agreeableness. Honesty tests. Organizations may use paper and pencil honesty tests, which can predict certain behaviors, including employee theft. Drug tests. As concerns about substance abuse have grown during recent decades, so has the use of drug testing. As a measure of a person's exposure to drugs, chemical testing has a high reliability and validity. Medical examinations. Especially for physically demanding jobs, organizations may wish to conduct medical examinations to see that the applicant can meet the job requirements. But to avoid discrimination against persons with disabilities, organizations usually administer a medical exam only after a job offer. Methods and how to conduct effective interviews. Non-directive interview. It is a selection interview in which the interviewer has great discretion in choosing questions to ask each candidate. Structured interview. A selection interview that consists of a predetermined set of questions for the interviewer to ask. Situational interview. A structured interview in which the interviewer describes a situation likely to arise on the job, then asks the candidate what he or she would do in that situation. Behavior description interview is a structured interview in which the interviewer asks the candidate to describe how he or she handled a type of situation in the past. Panel interview is a selection interview in which several members of the organization meet to interview each candidate. How to interview effectively. Interviewing is one HR function that almost all managers are involved with at some point. Here are some tips for conducting interviews that identify the best candidates. Be prepared. Read the candidate's resume and other paperwork ahead of time. Prepare a list of questions as well as information about the company's history, culture, and other details the candidate might be interested in knowing. Put the applicant at ease. A nervous or cautious job candidate may not show his or her best qualities. Ask about past behaviors. Talking about a specific event makes it harder for a candidate to focus on guessing what the interviewer wants to hear. And the answer gives clues about what the candidate will do in new situation. Listen. The interview information is only as good as the interviewer's ability to gather it. Let the candidate do most of the talking and pay attention to what is being said and not said. If a candidate sounds vague or too good to be true, ask follow-up questions to gather details. Take notes. Jot down notes to remind you of key points. Also, schedule 5 or 10 minutes after each interview for writing down your impressions. At the end of the interview, make sure that the candidate knows what to expect next. For example, a phone call or additional interview within the next week. The process of making a selection decision. The organization should focus on the objective of finding the person who will be the best fit with the job and organization. This includes an assessment of ability and motivation. The following are the selection models that organizations may adopt in making a selection. Multiple hurdle model is a process of arriving at a selection decision by eliminating some candidates at each stage of the selection process. At the final stage, only a few candidates remains, and the selection decision determines which of these few is the best fit. Compensatory model is a process of arriving at a selection decision in which a very high score on one type of assessment can make up for the low score on another.
Hello there, I am Lyzel Borga and I am tasked to discuss the first part of the topic, training of employees. For this topic, we will discuss how to link training programs to organizational needs, explain how to assess the need for training, and how to assess employees' readiness for training. Now, what is training? Training is an organization's planned efforts to help employees acquire job-related knowledge, skills, abilities, and behaviors with the goal of applying them to the job. A training program may range from formal classes to one-on-one mentoring and may take place on the job or in other remote areas. No matter what its form, training can benefit the organization when it is linked to organizational needs and when it motivates employees. The nature of the modern business environment makes training more important today than it has ever been. Rapid change, especially in the area of technology, requires that employees continually learn new skills. Growing reliance on teamwork creates a demand for the ability to solve problems in teams, an ability that often requires formal training. With training so essential in modern organizations, it is important to provide training that is effective. An effective training program actually teaches what it is designed to teach, and it teaches skills and behaviors that will help the organization achieve its goals. To achieve those goals, HR professionals approach training through instructional design, a process of systematically developing training to meet specified needs. Now, there are 5 different stages of instructional design. A complete instructional design process includes the following steps. First, it begins with an assessment of the needs for training. That is, what the organization requires that its people learn. Next, the organization ensures that employees are ready for training in terms of their attitudes, motivation, basic skills, and work environment. The third step is to plan the training program, including the program's objectives, instructors, and methods. The organization then implements the program. Finally, the last and final step, evaluating the results of the training and providing feedback for planning future training programs. To carry out the instructional design process more efficiently and effectively, an organization may use a learning management system or LMS. It is a computer application that automates the administration, development, and delivery of a company's training programs. Managers and employees can use the LMS to identify training needs and enroll in courses. LMS can make training programs more widely available and help companies reduce travel and other costs by providing online training. Administrative tools let managers track course enrollments and program completion. The system can be linked to the organization's performance management system to plan for and manage training needs, training outcomes, and associated rewards together. Instructional design logically should begin with a needs assessment, the process of evaluating the organization, individual employees, and employees' tasks to determine what kinds of training, if any, are necessary. As the definition indicates, the needs assessment answers questions in 3 broad areas. First, the organization. What is the context in which training will occur? Second, person. Who needs training? Third, task. What subjects should the training cover? The answers to these questions provide the basis for planning an effective training program. The outcome of the needs assessment is a set of decisions about how to address the issues that prompted the needs assessment. These decisions do not necessarily include a training program because some issues should be resolved through methods other than training. Other outcomes of a needs assessment might include plans for better rewards to improve motivation, better hiring decisions, and better safety precautions. Organization analysis, the first step in the needs assessment. Organization analysis is a process for determining the appropriateness of training by evaluating the characteristics of the organization. The organization analysis looks at training needs in light of the organization's strategy, resources available for training, and management support for training activities. Training needs will vary depending on the organization's strategy. Anyone planning a training program must consider whether the organization has the budget, time, and expertise for training. Even if training fits the organization's strategy and budget, it can be viable only if the organization is willing to support the investment in training. Managers increase the success of training when they support it through such actions as helping trainees see how they can use their newly learned knowledge, skills, and behaviors on the job. Conversely, the managers will be most likely to support the training if the people planning it can show that it will solve a significant problem or result in a significant improvement relative to its cost. Managers appreciate training proposals with specific goals, timetables, budgets, and methods for measuring success. Following the organizational assessment, needs assessment turns to the remaining area of analysis, person and task. The person analysis is a process for determining individuals' needs and readiness for training. It involves answering several questions such as: do performance deficiencies result from a lack of knowledge, skill, or ability? If so, training is appropriate. If not, other solutions are more relevant. Second, who needs training? Third, are these employees ready for training? The answers to these questions help the manager identify whether training is appropriate and which employees need training. In certain situations, such as the introduction of a new technology or service, all employees may need training. However, when needs assessment is conducted in response to a performance problem, training is not always the best solution. The person analysis is therefore critical when training is considered in response to a performance problem. In assessing the need for training, the manager should identify all the variables that can influence performance. The primary variables are the person's ability and skills, his or her attitudes and motivation, the organization's input, including clear directions, necessary resources, and freedom from interference and distractions, performance feedback, including praise and performance standards, and positive consequences to motivate good performance. Of these variables, only ability and skills can be affected by training. Therefore, before planning a training program, it is important to be sure that any performance problem results from a deficiency in knowledge and skills. Otherwise, training dollars will be wasted because the training is unlikely to have much effect on performance. Further, the person analysis should also determine whether employees are ready to undergo training. In other words, the employees who receive training not only should require additional knowledge and skill, but must be willing and able to learn. The third area of needs assessment is task analysis, the process of identifying the tasks, knowledge, skills, and behaviors that training should emphasize. Usually, task analysis is conducted along with person analysis. Understanding shortcomings in performance usually requires knowledge about the tasks and work environment as well as the employee. To carry out the task analysis, the HR professional looks at the conditions in which tasks are performed. These conditions include the equipment and environment of the job, time constraints, for example, deadlines, safety considerations, and performance standards. These observations form the basis for a description of work activities or the task required by the person's job. For a selected job, the analyst interviews employees and their supervisors to prepare a list of tasks performed in that job. Then, the analyst validates the list by showing it to employees, supervisors, and other subject matter experts and asking them to complete a questionnaire about the importance, frequency, and difficulty of the task. The information from these questionnaires is the basis for determining which tasks will be the focus of the training. The person or committee conducting the needs assessment must decide what levels of importance, frequency, and difficulty signal at need for training. Logically, training is most needed for tasks that are important, frequent, and at least moderately difficult. For each of these tasks, the analysis must identify knowledge, skills, and abilities required to perform the task. The information usually comes from the interviews with subject matter experts, such as employees who currently hold the job. Readiness for training. Effective training requires not only a program that addresses real needs, but also a condition of employee readiness. Readiness for training is a combination of employee characteristics and positive work environment that permit training. The necessary employee characteristics include ability to learn the subject matter, favorable attitude towards the training, and motivation to learn. A positive work environment is one that encourages learning and avoids interfering with the training program. To be ready to learn, Employees need basic learning skills, especially cognitive ability, which includes being able to use written and spoken language, solve math problems, and use logic to solve problems. Ideally, the selection process identifies job candidates with enough cognitive ability to handle not only the requirements for doing a job, but also the training associated with that job. Employees learn more from training programs when they are highly motivated to learn. That is, when they really want to learn the content of the training program. Employees tend to feel this way if they believe they are able to learn, see potential benefits from the training program, are aware of their need to learn, see a fit between the training and their career goals, and have the basic skills needed for participating in the program. Managers can influence a ready attitude in a variety of ways. For example, they can provide feedback that encourages employees, establishes rewards for learning, and communicates with employees about the organization's career path and future needs. Readiness for training also depends on two broad characteristics of the work environment: situational constraints and social support. Situational constraints are the limits on training effectiveness that arise from the situations or the conditions within the organization. Constraints can include a lack of money for training, lack of time for training or practicing, and failure to provide proper tools and materials for learning or applying the lessons of training. Conversely, trainees are likely to apply what they learn if the organization gives them opportunities to use their new skills and if it rewards them for doing so. The second, social support. It refers to the ways the organization's people encourage training, including giving trainees praise and encouraging words, sharing information about participating in training programs, and expressing positive attitudes towards the organization's training programs. Support can also come from employees' peers. The organization can formally provide peer support by establishing groups of employees who meet regularly to discuss their progress. Finally, the organization can assign experienced employees as mentors to trainees, providing advice and support.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, classmates. I am Eireen in Bendijo, your next reporter for training employees in learning objectives 4 to 6, which consist of the following topics as follows. Describe how to plan an effective training program, compare widely used training methods, and summarize how to implement a successful training program. Let me discuss to you first how to plan an effective training program. Decisions about training are often the responsibility of a specialist in the organization's training and human resources department. In planning, you need to establish your objectives for the training, and based on those objectives, the planner then decides who will provide the training, what topics will cover, what training methods to use, and how to evaluate the training. There are several characteristics which provides a basis for measuring whether the training program succeeded. They include what an employee is expected to do, performance standard is measurable, and identify the resources needed to carry out the desired performance or outcome. An organization can provide an effective training program even if it lacks expertise in training. To select training services, an organization can mail several vendors as a request for proposal, or the RFP, which is a document outlining the type of service needed, the type and number of employees to be trained, the date by which the training is to be completed, and the date by which the proposal should be received. It also indicates funding the project and the process by which the organization will determine its level of satisfaction. There are a wide variety of choices in training methods in which an organization can choose from. They may use these methods alone or in combination. In general, the methods used should be suitable for the course content and the learning disabilities of the participants. But today, most of the training programs are taking place virtually using a combination of instructor-led and technology-based program and technology-based methods, or the blended methods. Presentation methods is a training in which trainees receive information provided by others. Hands-on methods involves the trainees by actively trying out their skills. Group building methods lets the trainees share their ideas and experiences, build group identities, and they learn about interpersonal relationships and the group. Classroom instruction, on the other hand, typically involves the trainer lecturing a group. They often use the slides, discussions, case studies, question and answer sessions, and role-playing. This kind of training enhances the learning of the trainees because they are actively involved. Audiovisual training need not require trainees to attend a class. They can work independently using course materials prepared on CDs or DVDs or in workbooks. With computer-based training, often materials are interactive and allow trainees to submit questions via email and to participate in online discussion. It is generally less expensive and easier to customize. Current applications of computer-based training can extend its benefits through e-learning, which is receiving the training via the internet or the organization's intranet, while the Electronic Performance Support System, or the EPSS, which can provide access to skills training, information, and expert advice when a problem occurs in the job. On-the-job training, or the OJT, is a training method in which a person with job experience and skills guides the trainee in practicing the job skills at the workplace. Apprenticeship is a work-study training method that teaches the job skills through a combination of on-the-job training and classroom training. Internship is on-the-job learning sponsored by an educational institution as a component of an academic program. Simulations is a training method that represents a real-life situation with trainees making decisions resulting in outcomes that mirror what would happen on the job. Behavior modeling involves training sessions in which participants observe other people demonstrating the desired behavior, then have opportunities to practice the behavior themselves. To develop teamwork and leadership, some organizations enroll their employees in a form of training called the experiential programs. Through this program, participants learn concepts and apply them by simulating the behaviors involved and analyzing the activity connecting with real-life situations. There is also adventure learning, which is a teamwork and leadership training program based on the use of challenging, structured outdoor activities. Team training is a possible alternative to experiential programs which coordinated the performance of the individuals who work together to achieve a common goal. Ways to conduct a team training includes cross-training and coordination training. In cross-training, team members understand and practice each other's skills so that they are prepared to step in and take another member's place. While in coordination training, it teaches the team how to share information and make decisions to obtain the best team performance. Training may also target the skills needed by team leaders. Team leader training refers to training people in the skills necessary for effectively leading the organization's team. Another form of group building is action learning, in which team get an actual problem, work on solving it, and commit to an action plan and are accountable for carrying it out. A successful training program must be implemented in a way that applies what we know about how people learn. Researchers have identified a number of ways that training can best encourage learning. In general, effective training communicates learning objectives clearly, present information in distinctive and memorable ways, and helps trainees link the subject matter to the job. A well-designed training helps people remember the content. Training programs need to break information into chunks that people can remember. So written materials should have an appropriate reading level. A simple way to assess the readability, which is the difficulty level of the written materials, is to look for words being used and the length of sentences. This ends my report, and I will now turn you over to the next reporter. Thank you.
How to evaluate the effectiveness of a training program. Organizations should ensure that employees can demonstrate a positive impact of training through improved productivity and overall skill development. But why measure the effectiveness of training? Measuring training effectiveness have proven to be an important tool to boost employee engagement and retention. Results and measurements of past training act as critical indicators while planning future workshops. With a growing focus on continual learning and development, businesses are keen on identifying reliable metrics and methods to measure the training effectiveness and the ROI of such employee training initiatives. After all, you would not want to deliver training that does not provide expected results. Post-training quizzes, one-to-one discussions, employee surveys, participant case studies, and official certification exams are some ways to measure training effectiveness. The more data you collect on measurable outcomes, the easier it will be to qualify your company's return on investment. Before training begins, it is helpful to plan what factors you will be measuring and how you will collect these data. Fortunately, some proven methodologies for measuring training effectiveness already exist. During the 1950s, the University of Wisconsin Professor Donald Kirkpatrick developed the Kirkpatrick evaluation model for evaluating training. With a simple four-level approach, this is one of the most successful models that help you measure the effectiveness of customized corporate training programs. Here are the four levels of measurement and the key indicators to look for at each level. Level 1, reaction. Level 2, learning. Level 3, behavior. And Level 4, results. First level, reaction. This level measures how learners have reacted to the training, the relevance and usefulness of the training. Use surveys, questionnaires, or talk to learners before and after the course to collect their feedback on the learning experience. At the end of Level 1, you should have a good understanding on how well the training was received and determine any gaps in the training content. Second level, learning. This level measures the knowledge and skills gained by learners as a result of the training. To measure this level, you can use a combination of metrics such as test scores during and after the training, evaluation of applied learning projects, influence on performance KPIs, course completion and certification, supervisor report and feedback. At this stage of evaluation, you will be able to determine if the training is meeting its set objectives, what are the specific skills that can be developed with the training, and the scope for improvements in content and method of delivery. The third level, behavior. In this level, you are to understand how the training has impacted the learner's performance and attitude at work. Evaluate how the training has influenced the learner's performance and delivery at work by using a combination of these methods: self-assessment questionnaires, informal feedback from peers and managers, focus groups, on-the-job observation, actual job performance key performance indicators or KPIs, and customer surveys, comments, or complaints. Topics to cover in your assessment include: how has learning been implemented at work? Are the learners confident to share their new skills and knowledge with their peers? Final level, results. This level measures the tangible results of the training such as reduced costs, improved quality, faster project completion, increased productivity, employee retention, better marketing leads, increased sales, and higher morale. Key metrics to measure are improved business results, increased productivity and quality of work, employee retention, higher morale, and customer satisfaction index. So what are the training methods for employee orientation and diversity management? Employee orientation is training designed to prepare employees to perform their tasks effectively, learn about the organization, and establish work relationships. Orientation programs may combine several training methods, from printed materials to on-the-job training to e-learning. A typical orientation program includes information about the overall company and the department in which the new employee will be working, covering social as well as technical aspects of the job. So, what are its types? Orientation. This is usually a one-time process for new employees and is usually conducted in your first week on the job, typically conducted by the Human Resources Department. An orientation program seeks to educate you on a wide range of topics, including corporate culture, company mission, vision, and values, organizational structure, leadership team, corporate policies, administrative procedures such as computer logins and email setups, new hire paperwork, and benefit plans. Onboarding. The leaders of a department prepare the onboarding program to focus on achieving the department's goal and connecting them with the company's objectives. Onboarding usually addresses these items: your needs as a new employee, access to information and skills, technical aspects of the job, improvement of work performance, employee engagement, and department goals. Technical skill development. Technical skills training is a basic component of employee education because it is a primary way for you to develop the skills you need in your role. Employees who are already competent in their jobs can undergo further training to gain new skills and stay current with the latest technologies and processes. Some examples of technical skills that you can learn through this form of training include content writing, social media management, data analysis, coding, and programming. Soft skills development. Your employee will want you to behave professionally and function well as part of a team. Soft skills refers to personality traits that enable you to communicate and work cooperatively with coworkers and customers. These skills are useful for both new and old employees, and they played a vital role in building a respectful, collaborative, and efficient culture within a company. Products and services training. Products and services training may be a part of your onboarding program or a way for you to get reacquainted with the company's offerings. Your employer may also use this training when they introduce new campaigns. This type of training provides information on different aspects of a product or service. Quality training. Quality training commonly occur in production-focused companies. This method trains you to ensure that all products meet certain quality standards which may be imposed by the company, industry, or third parties. In some cases, employees who complete a quality training program will receive certification. And lastly, team training. Team training typically occurs following the restructuring of a company, merger, or acquisition. In these situations, many employees will be working together for the first time, making team training an essential process. Diversity management. Cultural diversity may arise from organizational culture, HR management systems, higher career involvement of women, different mindsets, and cultural differences. Organizational culture. You can manage cultural diversity through valuing differences, prevailing value system, and cultural inclusion. Bias-free HR management system may include good recruitment, training and development, performance appraisal, compensation and benefits, and promotion. Higher career involvement of women addresses dual career, sexual harassment, and work-family conflict. Could diversity be a problem or opportunity? Challengement or barely address? Level of majority culture? And buy-in, resistance, or support? Cultural differences can also be addressed by promoting knowledge and acceptance, and taking advantage of the opportunities that diversity provides.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you have learned and enjoyed our presentation.